I knew that layoffs were possibly coming, and instead of panicking, I made a plan. And honestly, that decision made everything so much easier when it did actually happen. Today, I'm walking through exactly what I did to prepare for my layoff before it ever happened so that you can start your own plan too, just in case you ever need it. My name is Talia and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, a few months ago, I actually got laid off and I decided that I wanted to document this experience of navigating career shifts and unexpected life changes through a series that I'm calling Unemployed and Unbothered. If you enjoyed today's video, I would love for you to like, comment, and subscribe. I am trying to reach my very first 100 subscribers and would love to have you be a part of the community that I am trying to build. On my channel, I post content about intentional living, wellness, self-empowerment, and traveling. So if any of that is your cup of tea, then you are in the right place. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right into today's video. You're probably asking yourself, Talia, why in the world would you be preparing for a layoff? And obviously, I didn't know if a layoff would actually come, and if it did come, I didn't know when it would be. But there were two main reasons that I was preparing myself for the possibility that I could lose my job. The first being, earlier in the year, my previous employer had actually did a round of layoffs, which fortunately for me, I was not impacted by. But I think that was the very first indicator where I was like, okay, things are not going as planned this year, and you need to keep that in mind. The second signal for me was that after the first round of layoffs, things continued to be stagnant. As I mentioned previously, I was a business analyst working at a technology consulting firm, and a lot of the things that we were doing was in the public sector. And so because of the state of the economy, project work continued to be slow. So they were either paused or projects were getting canceled. So once I saw that we had had this round of layoffs and that things weren't going back to normal as I expected they would have, I was like, okay, you need to sit down and create a crisis management plan for yourself. And that was exactly what I did. I sat down and I asked the question, what would you do if you lost this job tomorrow? The first step for my crisis management plan was to create a list of jobs with low barriers of entry, just in case I needed to secure something quick, fast, and in a hurry. This list was nothing fancy. I just grabbed a piece of paper and jotted down anything that came to mind. This wasn't about my dream job. This wasn't about my dream career. This was all about a transitional job that I could get quickly if I needed something to hold me over in case of emergency. Things on my list included DoorDash, Target, babysitting, anything that I could think of. I wrote it down on this list, and I recommend you do the same based on your skill set and experiences that you have. The second thing that I did to prepare for a layoff was review my finances. When it comes to my personal finances, I try to stay as organized as possible, and one of the ways that I do that is through my bill schedule tracker. This is where I keep track of all my monthly expenses, the cost, and the date that they will come out of my account. If you don't have something like this, I definitely recommend that you start here when it comes to your personal finances. Once you have that tracker, I'd recommend that you go through all of your monthly expenses and determine what are your non-negotiable costs versus the negotiable ones. For instance, for me, I know that my rent and utilities has to be paid each and every month, and these are non-negotiable expenses. However, a negotiable expense would include something like my crew car wash subscription. This is a luxury and it's nice to have, but it's not absolutely necessary. The reason that I went through and highlighted these non-negotiable versus negotiable expenses was because I wanted to get a better idea of how I could more efficiently use my money and cut costs if needed. Once you've done that, the final thing that I recommend you do is calculate the total of your non-negotiable expenses and then prioritize saving 1 to 3 months of those costs and putting it into a high yield saving account so that one, you don't touch the money, but secondly, it can also gain interest. I definitely understand that everyone's personal finance situation is completely different, and you may not be in a position currently to save 1 to 3 months of emergency saving on top of your regular bills. However, I recommend you just do what is doable for you. I think sometimes people really underestimate the peace and calm that you can have by just having even $100 set aside for case of emergency. If you aren't sure what is doable for you in your current situation, I'd recommend you calculate your total income along with the cost of your non-negotiable and negotiable expenses, and then subtract the two and see what you have left over. And that can help you get a better idea of what you should actually be prioritizing for your savings. The third thing that I did in my plan was tap back into my personal and professional network. One of the ways that I have found myself elevating in my career is through genuine connections and relationships. And so once I saw that a layoff was a possibility, I knew that it was important for me to tap back into and connect with those who were closest to me. It's not always who you know, but it's also who knows you. And so you want people to be thinking of you when new opportunities arise, and for them to be able to vouch on your behalf and that you are a good fit. Then in addition to that, I also determined that I wanted to widen and broaden my network. And one of the ways that I wanted to do that was through local networking events. I just went on Eventbrite and also Instagram and just typed in Indianapolis networking. And there's tons of different local organizations based on what you're looking for, whether it's a specific industry, whether you're looking for young professionals, Black professionals. There's so many organizations out there that are offering opportunities to network with other individuals. And so I definitely wanted to make that a priority as well, so that I could expand my network and build new connections and relationships. The fourth thing that I did for my crisis management plan was update my professional portfolio. I had actually decided to create this years prior when I was up for a promotion. However, when I saw that a layoff was a possibility, this felt like the perfect time to update it. So much can happen in 1 month of work, let alone 6 or 12 months. And working at a consultant firm, it can be so easy to forget all of the things that you have done, especially when you are working on multiple projects, oftentimes at the same time. So to ensure that this did not happen, I decided this was the perfect time to update my personal record of the things and the work that I had done for my previous employer. For me, my personal portfolio was very simple, and it was an Excel sheet where I kept track of all of the projects that I worked on, my specific roles and responsibilities, and then finally I noted any major accomplishment or rewards that the project may have received. Depending on the industry that you worked on, that format may or may not work for you. However, adapt it to fit what works best. I also included and made note of any extracurriculars that I was involved in outside of my day-to-day responsibilities and billable work. That included things like being a part of our DEI committee, which stands for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and along with being a part of our early career mentorship program. Then the final thing that I included as a nice bonus was any feedback that I received from either managers, colleagues, or team members. At the end of the day, I think that a professional portfolio is a great keepsake to show the growth in your own personal career. It is also a great tool to build your network and also for new employers, because you can allow them to see in one concise way the skill set that you bring, the experiences that you have, and the unique value that you would add as a professional for them or at their company. The fifth and final thing that I did to prepare for my layoff was prioritize my personal and professional development. The way that I did this was through things like reading and also free trainings. So for instance, I knew that an area that I really wanted to focus on was my leadership style and my leadership skills. So I decided I wanted to start reading more leadership books. I actually started reading the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, because that was not only about leadership, but also efficiency. And then in addition to that, I also looked to see what free trainings were out there on platforms like Good old YouTube and also LinkedIn. Living in the time that we currently do, there's so much free information and access out there, and I decided that I just wanted to take advantage of that. Because like they say, the best investment that you can make is in yourself. And so I knew that I wanted to find ways to upskill from my current position, but also in ways that would help me for future opportunities as well. So that is the end of today's video. If you are currently in an employment situation where you are feeling uneasy or like your job isn't as secure as it once was, you need to start planning today. You actually need to start planning right now. Right now, girl. I can honestly promise you that the smallest steps will help you navigate the toughest times, and being prepared is one of the major reasons that I have been able to be unemployed and unbothered. I obviously do not wish unemployment on anyone, but if it is a possibility, I definitely think that there is nothing wrong with taking these steps to be prepared. Like they say, hope for the best, plan for the worst. But with that, that is the end of today's video. I will see you guys the next time. Bye, friends.